The date? At least you're close. The date? Oh my God, people are on their phones. Come on, guys, not a single person knows what was the Bitcoin release date. Oh my God, okay, be ready for the questions. Because if we can't even get started with the roots, then what are we doing here in Web3? It was with Bitcoin that the entire era of decentralization started. At least in terms of context, what was the major event that happened in 2008? A lot of people think that that was also probably what prompted Bitcoin to be released in the first place. Global recession, anyone? Right? The US housing market collapsed, the bubble collapsed, and overnight. So first of all, Lehman Brothers bankruptcy was the largest bankruptcy in the history till date. It was for $650 billion. Adjusted for inflation today, that's over 3/4 of $1 trillion, close to $1 trillion in bankruptcy. But what's important is the value that the US housing market alone, forget about the global market, the US housing market lost over $13 trillion overnight. That's over 4 years of India's current GDP. That was the effect of centralized finance. Not to say that we are painting centralized finance in a bad view, but there is a reason why the move towards decentralization and ownership of your own data started. In the US, I have worked with bank account managers who talk about people who were 80, 85-year-old with all of their life savings in the banks that collapsed, and they did not live to get a single penny of that back. That was how bad the crisis was. I would have continued with more questions, but I think the Bitcoin question itself was a little bit a tumbler. But you know what, we'll continue with more questions. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Charlene from my team to continue with the conversation. There you go.
Check. Okay, so a warm welcome to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the highly anticipated The Future of Tech Web3 Trends in 2024. Can we have a huge round of applause? Awesome. Proudly presented by Orbis86 and sponsored by Hedera. So before we dive into this insightful event with panels and discussions and everything that you want to know, let's start with a brief introduction and a few words about our sponsors. And for the same, I invite again our founder and CEO from Orbis86, Sonia Ahuja, the driving force behind our innovative endeavors. Can we have you on stage, Sonia?
Partners slide next, so anyway, let's go through it. Yeah, change. Just keep that. Yeah, we are good. I enjoy a little bit of narcissism, but not of my back view. Okay, all right, that's cool. So I do want to give a quick shout out. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our event partners. Web3 is all about working with the community. Without all of these partners that we have here in the community, we wouldn't have actually made much headway. Some of them are going to speak up here. Some of them are going to speak up here. For some reason, I think this is free screen. No, can you please play it live? We just want the deck going. All right, and we'll be getting done with the technical issues in just a bit. Rather get them over with now than later on. Partners. This is the 12th event this year that we are hosting. In US, we have hosted over 11 events now. This is actually our 12th event. Most of our events have been hosted in the West Coast and also one at New York. In Q1 next year, we are also going to be hosting an event in Dubai in Jan. February 2nd, we are hosting an event with University of London. And in the month of March, we are hosting an event with University of Washington. And again, all of this wouldn't be possible without the ecosystem coming together and getting us where we need to be. A quick note, we are a little late to get started. We're going to have sessions, 3 panel discussions, a couple of partner, 1 minute partner notes in between. Networking and high tea follows at 5:30. I'm sure all of you are still digesting lunch. So after 5:30, we will have high tea and networking continues. Also, we have a bunch of coffee mugs that we want to give away. If you look at the QR code right there, just scan the QR code, make a tweet, post a picture, and make sure you grab a mug from the registration desk down there. And finally, after the event, we will send out a survey. And for that survey, we request you all to just fill out the survey. The survey is not just about event feedback, but if anyone in this room wants to join us as a speaker, partner, or sponsor in future events, this is the survey to fill out. And now finally, you get to get a break from my voice from our sponsor, Hedera.
Hedera is the most used, sustainable, public distributed ledger in the world. With use cases from preserving testimony to anchoring warning systems, ensuring the safe storage of vaccines, and allowing us to get back to life as we knew it. Offsetting our carbon footprint while enjoying the new token economy. These are just a few of the game-changing applications built on Hedera, which is governed by the world's leading organizations and fueled by HBAR, the world's greenest cryptocurrency. What future will you build?
It started with a vision for how the internet should work, how it could work.
It really should be possible for anyone to just kind of wave their hand and carve out a piece of cyberspace and create a world of their own.
But the technology to achieve such a vision simply did not exist.
There's no way that you can have more high-proof and security in this property. I was able to myself that's not possible. And I set it aside, and it would come back and haunt me. It would never at me. And so I would look again and set it aside again. And this is going for years.
8 years later, Leon had a breakthrough. The hash consensus algorithm. In 2004, Nancy founded 12 to backtest the algorithm in private permission environments. And the following year, we published a technical paper. But in order to realize the vision of a fairer, more secure digital future for all, the world needed a trust layer, a public network built on the hash graph.
Okay, it looks like we are down to the final seconds here. 3, 2, 1.
The network is open. As of this moment, we have council member nodes online, ready to take transactions from anyone, anywhere in the world.
Since Hedera has witnessed exponential global network with billions of worldwide transactions, hundreds of applications, and tens of thousands of ecosystem developers. The Hedera account has gone from strength to 26 continents, stewarding the network responsibly and ensuring longevity for generations to come. Hello, future.
Just a couple of notes that I wanted. First of all, how many of you are building on Hedera? That's perfect. We have some builders in the room also. Hedera has their mainnet. You saw the video. They had a mainnet launch. Anyone wants to start a number of transactions from Hedera's mainnet launch in 2019? Anyone wants to take a rough stab at it? A billion, 50 million. Any guesses in the room? Guys, I mean, I'm sorry? A million? Okay. Anyone else in the back? I want to talk to people in the back so nobody falls asleep. Just take a guess. 100 million? 32 billion transactions. 32 B for Bombay. 32 billion transactions and they are transactions that only track census transactions. They are real transactions. Every month, every tennis in the world's largest label manufacturer, they alone are responsible for creating over a billion transactions every month, tracking the carbon footprint for all the clients that they work with. So 32 billion mainnet transactions being processed at over 1,000 transactions per second. It's a very fast and efficient chain, and it is one of the only DLTs out there. They are not a blockchain, they are based on the patented Hedera hash graph technology. But they are also the only chain out there where the price of transactions is fixed in US dollars. Their council members include people like Boeing, Google, Dell, IBM, etc. And the transaction costs for most of the transactions are under 1 cent. To be precise, for most of the transactions, the transaction cost is $0.0001. And more importantly, these transactions, as I said, fast throughput, but also you have a consensus layer, which is not present on a lot of the other ecosystems and chains. What the consensus layer allows you to do is log immutable messages on chain to create transactions. And finally, Hedera has its own JavaScript SDK, Java SDKs to build with. It is also fully EVM compatible. So for any builders in the room who are looking to build on another chain, you can look at Hedera. They also have an active grant ecosystem. So if you look for HBAR Foundation, they have fast track grants being given from 20,000 upwards. And with that, we'll get to the next set of slides. I'm going to quickly ask Mukta. Not here. So I know you're probably tired of listening to me, but I'll make it very quick. A quick note about Orbis86. Our three core pillars: arts, entertainment, and education. And I'm going to just pass it quickly to Mukta so she can get through this.
Hi everyone, this is Mukta and I handle all things marketing at Orbis86. So it's going to be very difficult to talk about Orbis86 in a minute or two, but I'll just try my best. So as Sonia mentioned, our three pillars are arts, entertainment and education. So in the old part, we started as an NFT project and we have built on Ethereum and Hedera. And the XRP is on the horizon. In 2024, we plan to host multiple free months across different blockchains so that the cross-chain synergy and we can get people from all blockchains together. The second thing is moving on to entertainment. So this 3D collection of ours, we are trying to create a Marvel comic universe, something similar to Marvel comic universe. So we are collaborating with a writer who has written the legendary Nick Fury from Marvel. So with him, we are going to create a comic universe for Orbis86. The second most interesting thing is we are working on a Discord game. So in this world of Web3, all the gaming communities are in silos because as we all know, they are
And with that, I would like to invite Shirley.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Charlene, the creative head at Orbis86. And I know some of us are feeling hot here, and some of us are just waiting for our coffee. So on that note, I want to say hello to all tech aficionados. And before we delve into the world of Web3 entrepreneurship with our founders panel, here's a quirky tidbit. Did you know that the first ever webcam was invented at Cambridge University to keep an eye on a coffee pot? I mean, how crazy. But why am I telling you this now? Because let's face it, the anticipation of that perfect brew is as thrilling as our panel discussion that's going to happen right now. So how many of you are really excited for the founders panel? Can I hear a little scream? Come on, I know you guys need a coffee right now, but let's. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So sit back and relax and get ready for a journey that's as intriguing as a live stream coffee pot. With that, allow me to welcome our panelists for today. Let's start with Ajit Khurana, founder, Reflexical Private Limited. Yes. A round of applause, guys. Come on, I know we can do a little better than this. Awesome. The next, we have Maz Memon, CEO and founder of Buy Finance. And Anuradha Chowdhury, founder 0 to 3. Let's go, Anuradha. Awesome. Okay, we have Prasanna joining us a little bit later. So, I am delighted to moderate today's founders panel, and I'm eager to hear the insights from all of you, as I know all of you as the audience are eager to hear as well. And without further ado, let's begin with some quick 20-second introductions. I think we can start with Anuradha. Ladies first.
Hi everyone, my name is Anuradha Chaudhary. I'm the founder of a specialized law firm for Web3, tech and entertainment.
Hi everyone, it's Maz Memon from New York, and I've been in banking, fintech for 15 years, advised on over 50 plus companies, angel investors, over 25, 30 companies, and now I have my own founding company called Buy Finance, which stands for Blockchain Hub and Infrastructure. So I'm here for the week, trying to, see some partnership and also help find some talent from India. Thank you. Amazing. It's been good.
Hey, my name is Ajit. I've been doing a little bit of this and that in the Web3 and crypto space, and prior to that in the general startup space. Currently run Reflexical, where we help startups, Web3 startups grow.
Awesome. Okay. A round of applause, guys. Come on. They deserve that. Okay. So now that we've scratched the surface of our panel's remarkable journey in Web3, let's start by asking Maz a question, like going back to crypto. So most of us think that crypto is, just something that we can invest in, but we don't really think of it in the long-term sense. So with that, Maz, with your background in both global events and, founding Buy Finance, you've undoubtedly witnessed the rise of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. I mean, all of us have, right? So how are these digital assets evolving beyond mere, especially in terms of like everyday utilities such as bill payments and other financial transactions?
Sure, thank you. So yeah, I've been in this space since 2016, so I've seen a lot of waves. I think majority now where we are headed, people are skeptical, obviously, from when we hear the word crypto, especially unconventional people, right? So, especially in finance world, the question you ask, main thing would be about the utilities going forward. People like everybody here in this room, they want to see not just as an investment, because when term investment comes, people think as bigger amount, right? Going forward, this would be more of your regular day-to-day life. That's where I see next 5 years, 10 years down the road for every single person. Today we are using cash and debit credit card, right? Before debit card came, everybody was just using cash, and people were still skeptical about using debit credit card. Not in Western countries, especially in India, right? The adoption happened. So I do see like the future of digital currency is where the world will be headed. It would be definitely things that we would need to figure out in terms of regulation that we'll get into details probably later on. But everybody would want to use some sort of, not everybody's going to have an entire one Bitcoin, because obviously, first of all, there's 21 million Bitcoins only, right? So whoever has the most, but there could things that need to figure out in terms of regulation. So I usually tell people Bitcoin is your digital gold, and Ethereum and other coins are your other silver. And that is where there are a lot of good projects, I think, including ours, that we are trying to do is you could have certain assets and you can liquidate it in real time. And you can liquidate it in real time to pay your bills in day-to-day life, right? And that is where the world will be headed to in terms of cryptocurrency and financial and trade fi.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we started off with cash, and I don't know, there was like the barter system and everything. So, we don't know where we're headed at, but of course, cryptocurrency is definitely something we need to look out for in the future. Now let's pivot from the future forward frontier of digital assets to like market manuals. Ajit, the next question is for you. OpenSea's markdown, right? It puts the company at $1.4 billion valuation on paper compared with $13.3 billion last year. So in the light of your recent challenges and considering your role as an advisor, what key elements do you believe are crucial for the success of projects in the current market scenario? And looking ahead, what strategies or factors do you foresee being essential for projects to thrive in the near future?
So the fact is, when it was 13 billion and now it's 1/10 of that, or you could take any non-crypto startups also, whether it's Paytm or Zomato or any names that you know of, wherein organizations seem to have ridiculously high valuations. Like Mamaearth came out with an IPO, etc. The point is, we are always basing it not on what they have achieved in the past, but what they'll achieve in the future. For example, if you look at the stock market, of course, it looks forward to what's going to come in, but it also factors a lot of history. When it comes to startup, the absence of history means we go overweight on looking at the future. Suddenly we found that not just NF prices go down, but NFT volumes dried up, primarily because people thought, hey, this may not be a speculative asset anymore. The other utility and all those stories came down. The volume dried down to 99%. So instead of $100 worth of volume came down to 1. So actually it's quite remarkable that the valuation fell to 10%. It should have fallen to 1%. It should have become 130 million. Right? Because people believe that when this next bull market will come, every and you pardon my French, every coin will again become a glorious coin. Right? So I think that 13 billion was an over-exaggerated valuation. I don't see that as reasonable, but the growth of the industry was so fast. Now is what do we need to do? I think that one of the things that every bit of Web3 has failed in, some spectacularly, some not so much, is the fact that we have not been able to bring new people in. For instance, Web3 people, and a lot of you must be developing or building here, we often are building for other Web3 people. Right? This is not going to work because the number of people are negligible. If I remove people who have crypto trading accounts in exchanges, and I only talk about people who use dApps, decentralized apps, the number is like a few million, like 2 million. Right? Okay, if you look at like Binance and Coinbase, that number was 150 million. But those are people who are doing Web3. They're just buying and selling Web3 assets. So we are at 2 million. Facebook alone is greater than 2 billion. So I think that is it. I really want one way or the other, whether it's user experience, whether it's use case, whatever it is, find us something which is going to give us 100 million users. That is the future.
Absolutely. This is the importance of, why we need to onboard a lot of people to Web3 and see its, the bigger picture here that we aren't really looking at, especially in a country like India, because here, we mentioned earlier, cryptocurrency is just seen as an investment and not really looking at the bigger picture. That being said, we have our fourth panelist here, so I would like to have him introduce himself. We have Prasna Lohar, CEO of Blockstack, founder of India Blockchain Forum, bank and fintech advisor. Please.
So thank you for being here. Yesterday I was here. I think it's going to go more and more vibrant for next few days. So I come from banking background. Worked for banks at least for 20 plus years now. Consulting a lot of banks. A couple of them are Union Bank of India and DCB Bank. India Blockchain Forum we started with the vision that how can have much more good adoption of blockchain in India. Working closely with some of the state government, central bank, regulators across the globe. Look forward. That's my immediate introduction. Blockstack is my company where we help companies to move from slowly move from Web to Web3. And look forward how we can contribute to the discussion here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So with that, I would like to go ahead with the intersection of innovation and finance. So my question is to you. With your extensive experience in banking and fintech, how do you see the blockchain shaping the future of traditional banking, and what role can it play fostering the financial ecosystem in India and globally?
I think it's a good question. Rather, blockchain is the answer for a lot of questions banks are looking at. How many of you have banks? I think so. I think yes. So because banks are the one who keeps your money forever, and there are no other institutions, banks governed by government, regulators. That is how we need to look at and look forward for the banking the way it happened. I opened my bank account long back in maybe 2000. I was so happy. Bank account got opened in 35 days. And if I ask some of you, okay, today would you like to open a bank account? Still. There are some options where you can open instantaneously, but post account opening there are many more things, right? Servicing, engagement, where we have to do lot of things. Rather banks has opportunity to do that, but now that work has started doing by fintechs. Today 2020 where we sit, we have some options around banking. We have to do away with some of the frauds typically happens in banks. Cases like Nirav Modi's or Malla's. We are not happy with the reconciliation which happens on daily basis because that's how we are created. You do transaction today, money gets deducted from your account, but merchant gets money after 1 or 2 days. There is a problem of distribution of currency, paper currency rather. There are issues where we could see uptime, downtime systems, and the banking the way it has happened not happen overnight. It took some years together. Say example after internet 1995, many systems came today. There are more than 1 plus systems, including core banking or and all of that. And it's evolution. But during this evolution, most important part, regulators came into a lot of control, lot of risk control, second factor authentication, passwords, many more processes, compliance processes. We call it as operations. And banking the way we want to do is not that efficient. And it's evolution. I'm saying we should be happier and happy. In the sense, blockchain is a foundation. The way internet was foundation, and we have seen first PC come into some branch, and followed by mobile banking, internet banking, many more path breaking equations like UPI, Aadhaar, and many more things are coming. Blockchain comes as a challenge the bank the way they have operated since account of the servicing. I can tell 100 plus use cases where banks are going to work. Banking is just to narrate in a nutshell. Banking is something which every bank is forward how blockchain can be adopted. IBDS which is a consortium of bank looking forward to work on many more path breaking use cases. RBI has formed a DLT committee to look at how do we really move forward for the banking use cases. But what I recommend apart from translation of the banking.
Can I ask you? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
So here's the thing. You gave a very good banking example. Clearly you have background. If I wire transfer money from HDFC Bank to Bank of New York, in reality the transaction moves in a split of a second. Now, there might be variety of rules, cooling periods, and other additional checks they may perform. It's not as if the electrons move slower wire transfer than in blockchain, right? So to overcome this problem, why should it take 2 days for wire transfer to reach when USDT can reach in 2 seconds or 2 minutes depending on the chain? Are you saying that we should get rid of the checks and balances that banking does and thereby achieve it? Or are you saying that despite all the checks and balances, including cooling period. You know, the banks sit on the wire transfer at least a day. It used to be 10 days once upon a time. So which are we going to compromise on?
Even as I said, there are a lot of regulations. For example, if you add beneficiary, it say you can transfer 2 lakh rupees after 24 hours. You have just 25,000 limits based upon bank to bank. It's all about cautious game. Reconciliation is another cautious game which we have seen. Or a settlement is another cautious game. While Bitcoin or any of those says that it can happen instantaneously, but the government the way we have seen regulation, they have added intermediary processes. After doing payment, money is deducted by your account, but still we want to do double check. That's what reconciliation settlement does. And I'm not saying the way blockchain offers instantly fast payments, the way we have stable coins or even CBDC per se. Eventually an additional opportunity for decision makers. This is how it can be done. And there are many more processes as you are suggesting. Paper process and many more. That can do away gradually. I'm not saying it will happen instantaneously. Largely trade finance, cross-border pay, and within a country also there are many such processes. Account opening. Say it could be with Aadhaar. The cost for opening is around 5,000 rupees. And here we say we are not happy with one bank. We incur the same cost to another bank. Bringing all banks on that account opening, the KYC can be reshaped with the mechanism of customers. Likewise, we can identify at least. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I think that's so many use cases. And good to say there are some tries are happening. Couple of use cases are going live.
Yeah, I think that was very informational. We all needed to know. And on that note, now that we've gone to banking, somewhere towards legal considerations, and we are looking at right now, Anuradha. So India stands as a significant hub for service providers. Okay, let's start there. And given your engagement in services, pretty different for a lot of people who are in Web3. Could you share your insights on your journey and the factors that propelled you to pioneer the Web3 legal landscape?
So I actually started my journey as a filmmaker. I went to film school for 3 years. My first degree is in filmmaking, and at some point, very shortly, found myself very curious about the law. So I went to law school and ended up loving it. Practiced law, practiced IP law, with various startups in technology, startups in pharma, worked with a lot of alcohol companies as well. And at some point, I sort of basically got thrown into a bunch of NFT licensing deals. I know we had a discussion before this where everyone was dissing NFT. But I don't know how many of those panelists are in the room. But I sort of did get drawn into these NFT licenses, and I found myself very intrigued by the space. So I took some time out. I started founders. I started understanding what pain points are. And I realized a couple of things. Right? One is that founders in Web3 are very young. They need a lot of help, not just on the legal front. They need help with taxation. They need help just figuring out how to run their businesses. A lot of them graduate college and start their business. They've never worked in a corporate environment before. They've not had that experience. I would say communication experience on how to deal with people, how to be tactful. So I realized exactly this, that they need help. They don't always need help from lawyers who are much older. We are younger. I am a 90s kid. I'm born in the lap of technology. Right? So there is a passion to understand it. And with that passion to understand it, I think that's where I sort of able to advise on it. But I would not call myself a expert at this stage at all. I don't think there's too many of us PV personalities at the moment.
See, it's all about same thing, right? Web2 and Web3, there are no differences except some of the additional things. And whenever asked me to define what is Web3, it's all about the experience change. What I have not got Web2 as a privacy or security, I want to demand it some other way. And that's how as a plethora of many blockchain followed, and that's what Web3 is all about. So it's all about when I say law, it's all about same law in some other way to look at it. I can say that if you are a good lawyer, you are there for Web3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everything starts with passion, rightly said. And all of us somewhere are kind of starting at some point in Web3, no matter how.
You have legal and compliance. You cannot do anything in the United States. You cannot do anything even in India, which are two of the top in the world. 150 million users in India, 50 million users in US. Dollar-wise, US is number one. India comes number four. But you need to have your legal and compliance. That's the biggest challenge. Second would be there are other areas where companies can be registered, right? Especially UAE, and that's where people are. That's why they're registering in Dubai or. But you got to be also careful about who you're partnering. There are a lot of scammers, right? And there are a lot of people who are there for quick buck. Where there is money, you will find those kind of people. So I think that those are the challenges. But I think I would still tell people continue the development, but in parallel you need to have your legals rights. That is very important. If you cannot have it, there are issues. Partner with someone who already have a license. Give them an equity. Don't be greedy and just my company. I want to hold it. You might even have a company. If you get legally by any even if the government comes, right? So that is a very important big challenge. And just keep building. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot be a solo founder. When people say we don't invest because we don't have a co-founder, tell them to F off. Why? Because 90% of the companies that have failed were with co-founders. So go ahead and keep building, and that's what I would say.
Absolute mic drop moment. So yeah, I mean that's the importance of Web3 communities as well. Keep building, keep connecting, and going forward. With that, my next question is to Ajit. Given the dynamic nature of the cryptocurrency market and building, with the current global market cap reaching at about $1.62 trillion, what I checked yesterday, how would you advise startups to navigate through both bull and bear cycles?
So very interestingly, if you look at the number of people who have in this space, in fact, why don't I just do a survey of this audience rather than presuppose it? So how many of you, I'm just going to break this into eras, okay? So how many of you got into 2020 or later? 2020 or later. Okay? 16 to 20? Very nice. About the same number. That's a very good audience. Pre-16? That's okay, sorry. 12 to 16. Okay, pre-12. How many of you bought Bitcoin in 1998? Everybody is just raising their hand. Maybe somebody will raise their hand this also. Anyway, so what has happened is if you look at the people in this space, nobody has seen more than one bull market. Not nobody. Most people have not seen more than one bull market and more than one bear market. There are people with one bull, one bear, or two bear, one bull, etc. And because of common sense, which we get from other markets, such as forex markets or stock markets, etc., we kind of tend to extrapolate our learnings without even knowing it. For example, forget the headlines tokens like Bitcoin and Ethereum retracing at their bottom, retracing about 70-75% from their peak. Now, of course, they are back up. But if you look at the largest proportion of coins, most had retraced more than 96-98%. Right? And then $100 went to $2 and $4, right? Now, the belief that a lot of people that I talk to have is that when the bear market comes out without, I'm not just casually throwing, I think 90% of the projects that have fallen are not coming back. Because A, they have run out of money, largely, and B, they did a really poor job of execution. It bugs me that projects would market themselves in the year 2021. It should really have happened in like 1921 or 1821. In 2021, they were saying, I have 40,000 followers on Telegram. I have 20,000 followers on Twitter. As if that is going to explain how great a startup that is. Right? It's completely irrelevant. So, the common sense has to prevail. If you can do all three of these things, you're a clear winner, but you have to do at least one of these three things. Number one, you have to have a very large number, which today only means millions. Doesn't mean tens of millions or hundreds of millions. You have to have millions of people using your product. This is point number one. Number two, there has to be economics in the system, which means somewhere somebody should be earning because of your activity. It should not just, you know what happens in Ponzi. Nobody's earning, it's just a transmission. Right? So there has to be some sort of economics to it. And number three, once people use your service, they should feel a strong reason to not discontinue. Right? Ideally all three, but at least give me one of them.
Absolutely. Fine.
Yeah, I think considering Web3 and adoption, eventually it's not only the last 4-5 years. Eventually, I think for every company who is not on Web3 slowly has to go on Web3 because of adoption of blockchain, AI, many more other technologies. Let's look at how governments, how regulators will also support for this. The way I know, they are supporting. There are a lot of cohorts going on at RBI, FCA to come up with something on tokenization, central bank currencies and others. And as Ajit has spoken, right, it's very important for startups, founders to really give a value to the society. While it's a vision or aspiration, but at least give some of those smaller values which people remember and recommend for you. Yes, this is something good product which will be there for years together. I can say that the way we have seen back in 1995, I see those vibes for Web3 or blockchain now. Many more companies will come start. Many more companies will become giant unicorns, and never know. Some of the viewers, listeners out here become. So it will be a very good thing for all of the speakers here. You carry some incentives out of this discussion, and we are here offline also. Let's discuss if there are some potential opportunities for startups, founders. Happy to connect. Thanks.
Thank you, Prasanna, for this side. We can move to Anuradha for closing remarks.
Closing remarks. Well, I would say we need more women in the space, definitely.
Absolutely.
I was on a flight this morning to Bangalore, and of course my flight was delayed. It wasn't Indigo, but it was still delayed. And I was sitting outside the boarding gate waiting to board the flight, and there was a group of men definitely in the Web3 space from their conversations, and they were speaking about this girl or lady in their team who wasn't doing her work well enough because her nails got in the way. And I thought to myself clearly the leader was there in this conversation, and I thought to myself that it's already, we already feel like it's a boys' club. There aren't enough women in Web3. There aren't enough female lawyers in Web3. So maybe we could have more women that are building here, that are more welcome here, and that are made to feel more welcome here. That'd be a good space to be in.
That's true, yeah. Okay. And quickly, we could do one line. Maz and Ajit.
Yeah, I would just say, guys, network, talk to everybody, build partnership. I think Web community is an amazing community, way better than Web2, I would say. People are helpful because everybody's here to help and build. I would just say, reach out, don't be shy, just reach out to everybody and everybody. Like whether they're investors, founders, or the senior executive, doesn't matter. Everybody's here to help. That's it. I mean, just keep building.
If we were all in kindergarten right now, we were all 5 years old, and we were asking what we become when we grow up, we would have very fanciful ideas. We would want to become a sports person, an actor, a pilot, an astronaut, etc. Actually, that's where we are. When the e-commerce industry grew, first it was about making a website that works. Then it became about suggestion or recommendation engine. And then the real joy of e-commerce came when physical logistics of delivery got sorted. Right? Likewise, what I would recommend everybody, given we are at a kindergarten level of this entire thing, what we have to do is we have to just not get bound by the rules that we have artificially placed upon ourselves. Think beyond them. Think about how you can do something completely new. Few million in a population of 8 billion is nothing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll do questions later because we just have to move on to the next panel. I will allow everybody to do everything. It's up to the organizers.
I'm sorry, but we have to continue moving the session. There is going to be a full networking where you can grab a hold of Ajit and ask questions.
What is the question?
You can go and ask the question.
Please ask the question. I'll answer privately later. No, just shout it out. Michael, shout it out. I will tell you that secretly when I meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, panelists. A huge round of applause for all our panelists today.
And we'll take a quick picture. Yeah, you can just no. Prasanna, can we please have you for the group picture?
Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone. We are going to move on to our next panel. Before the next panel, can I please have Sachin from Coin Republic come up here?
Okay, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here. And as Ajit asked, how many of you are more than 5 years in crypto space? So again, again, people can raise your hand. How many of you are here in more than 5 years? Nobody? Okay, that's fine. So basically, in the old time when I interacted with the people and I asked them how and when they started, so people used to say like some crazy stories how they started in the crypto space. And for the when they said something like the price of Bitcoin. So I can remember like I had seen the Bitcoin price at $250, and I have interacted to people who have seen Bitcoin price at $9. So basically it's something like by which we can find out the exact time when the Bitcoin price was, we can correlate like how old they are. Myself Sachin Bhargav, I am in crypto, PR, media and marketing from last couple of years. And still it's not a decade, so I'm hoping I complete a decade at least here. The best thing I like about this crypto space is that anybody can start. I mean, if you are a newbie, it's not like that you must have some experience. Even if you are newbie, you can do some courses from any of the reputed institute like blockchain certification courses, and you can write yourself like you know something about, like you can write blogs, you can talk about the crypto, and you can start like a community influencer here. So it's a very easy thing to start in crypto. The most difficult part I can see in this crypto space is that people come here for the quick fame or quick money. That's the more difficult part I can see. Because the problem is that if you want to grab something quick here, you can't get anything. If you want to be here for a 3-year, 5-year time of span, and you want to grow here in the community and want to add some value, then it's good and you will grow yourself. Unless more than the short period of time, you can't find anything big here. So hope we all can do something big and we will create a dent in the universe. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin. Sachin has covered a lot of the founders all the way from USDT. I think he's short of just interviewing Satoshi. But Coin Republic is a crypto publication that has been around for over 5-6 years now, right? And go ahead and take a look at their website. They also have a bunch of podcasts, and he is very good with networking and connecting people. So just want to give a shout out for that. With that, we move on to our next partner. Can I please have Voice of Crypto, Varuni? Can I please have you up here? Alright guys, a big round of applause for Varuni who is joining us here from Voice of Crypto.
Hi everyone, thank you so much Sonia for having me here, and thanks to Orbis86. Really glad to be a part of this event. I remember at Voice of Crypto, I interviewed Mans, who's the founder of Hedra a while back, and he had really bright plans for the future of Web3, and so do we, and I do believe that all of us are present here because we believe in that decentralized future that all of us see. Yep. And I'm Varuni Trivedi. I'm the editor-in-chief of Voice of Crypto. I'm also one of the co-founders of Voice of Crypto. We are also a media platform. We have our website. We have a host of podcast platforms. We're also present on YouTube. We have interviewed almost every other CEO founder in the Web3 space. If you're one of them, I'm sure there are quite a few here. Do contact me after the session, and I would love to have you on our platform. The idea behind Voice of Crypto is to be the voice of the Web3 crypto blockchain space, and we aim to sort of spread the word as much as we can. I have worked with quite a few Web3 media houses before my stint at Voice of Crypto. I worked with Bean Crypto, FX Empire, AMB Crypto, and before that I trained to be a journalist. I worked in India as a journalist for quite some time, and then I realized that being a political journalist in India is more tough. It's way more difficult than being in the Web3 space, so I had to choose one of the lesser of the evils and the one that's more closer to my heart, and I think it was Web3. I really did believe in the power of decentralization, and I still do. We at Voice of Crypto are working towards a decentralized media platform that we're set to launch sometime in Q1 next year. So watch out for that, and once that is out, we're also in talks with, in fact, Hedera to build this platform that we're working on, and as soon as that is live, we can hopefully see the way the media communication works in the space also get decentralized. I think the panelists before me spoke about how it's it's important to bring the first million or the first 100 million onto the space. And what's more important is for people to not realize they are in the Web3 space, for them to use the products, services without even realizing that there's blockchain or Web3 behind it. And that is the idea that we have behind Voice of Crypto as well. Eventually, of course, we would love all media platforms and all media companies in this space, not just this space, but the Web2 space in general, also to be decentralized, not be under the influence of, let's say, big corporates. At this point, not just in India, but everywhere in the world, I think all the media houses are governed more by the governments and less by the people. And I think that we are sort of the fourth pillar of democracy. So do believe in that, and with that I would wrap it up and we move on to our panel. Right? Over to Sonia for this. Thank you so much, everyone.
So Varuni is our moderator for the next panel, so I'll just give it right back to you.
Absolutely. So we will kick off our next panel, panel 2 for today. We will be talking about Web3 integration, transformative approaches for enterprises in 2024. We have four amazing speakers. I think one of them isn't able to join us, but I would love to welcome Brian, the CEO of CoinDX, Aditi Chopra. She's the founder of Superwoman DAO, and she also leads community at CoinD86 Exchange, and Vipul Saini. I think Vipul is joining us.
Aditi, can you please come up? We don't have Vipul, so you can sit on the other side as you want.
Thank you so much for joining us today here, and we've had 2 really intense years in the Web3 crypto space, and I'm sure we've all ridden that wave of changes that were happening in the space. In the last panel, towards the end, Mr. Khurana did speak about enterprises, the kind of roadblocks they face, and one thing that really caught my interest was when he said that 90% of the companies fail in this space. You guys, I think, are at the forefront of your entrepreneurial journeys, as well as at the forefront of some of the top enterprises in the Web3 space in the country. So I think, Brian, we'll start with you. How is it going? How are you running CoinDX? And maybe a brief introduction, and then we can start over with the questions.
Sure.
First of all, thank you for the introduction from you. My name is Brian Kuttikat, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for CoinVX. CoinVX is an Indian crypto exchange with its roots in Chennai, and it has operations all over India, UAE, and some bit of in Singapore also. So these are the three major markets for CoinVX. Although it is a global exchange and it's open for everybody, but our major user base stands in India, UAE, and Singapore. So these three places, and talking about the CoinVX industry, so currently we are having around 1.5 million kind of users, active users, 5 million odd total users out there in the Indian market, and we are quickly adding a lot of people onto our ad signups as the bull market has just started. I mean, it's not the actual bull market, but yeah, you can at least say that it's fireworks out there. So yeah, that's the about introduction. Yeah.
Lovely. I love how you managed to not say the bull market is starting. Aditi, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi. Hello, folks. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you, Varuni, for giving us a great head start. I'm Aditi. I am the founder of Superwomen DAO, which is an accidental community that happened to get started last year, when I found myself to be being amongst one of the very few women who was going out there and attending events and all. Not that I couldn't talk or match up and all, but then I realized I knew a few others who had various ambitions to really make themselves present there. And I realized, okay, if there were more of us, and more of us were connected in a way where we could know, what are you up to, how can I collaborate, how can I help, how can I be present for you? That's a great motivation and encouragement to either start or to keep going. And a lot of us were just getting onboarded to Web3 and advancing in this space. So Superwomen is a community of over 3,000 members, primarily based out of India only. In India, we have 8 chapters, and then small, cutesy, 20 people chapters in Dubai, Korea, and Vietnam. And we worked on different types of models with different types of people, and I think that process still goes on for us. I also lead community at CoinECX and for Octo Wallet. So CoinECX is a central crypto exchange, the biggest in India with over 15 million users. And recently the team is also starting Octo, which is a DeFi Web3 self-custody MPC wallet. Everything I'm going to say in that one sentence. And that's the biggest track that we're training to sort of conquer and get a lot of traction on. So that's about me.
Thank you so much. Stage is all yours, Vishwanath.
Hello everyone, good evening. This is Vishwanath. Thanks for having me here. Good to be a part of Superwoman and the Superman on the panel. I think so. Let me just give you a quick introduction about myself. So Abhijit was actually telling who was there at 1998, right? Though it was a joke, because I was an early adopter of the technology. So there were days where I bought Ethereum at $11. So that's where the journey started. And today we see there are a lot of phases that the crypto went into. We were one of those first companies which launched also an exchange with Aadhaar integration, but then we were called off by the government to shut it down. So, and then we moved into enterprises. So now we are helping the enterprises and the governance, e-governance on blockchain. It's more of working with these enterprises like the GEs of the world, or maybe the Unilevers of the world for their enterprise blockchain, where decentralization is not so much a point, but it's more of the security, it's more of the immutability, it's more of the creation of the network, it's more of consortiums. So that's a space that we actually work on. We engineer both the Web3 and as well as the enterprise worlds together, and create value and bring how blockchain will work in an enterprise level architectures. That's what Simplify does.
Super. Lovely round of introductions, and I think I would jump right into my first question, which has to be addressing the elephant in the room, no one per se. It's regulations. I think in the Web3 crypto space, regulations have been the elephant in the room. So Brian, please go ahead. You head a centralized crypto exchange out of India and the UAE. How are you preparing for the next year now that we almost head towards the closing of this year? And how do you perceive the current regulatory state of affairs in both of these nations?
Yeah, so I'm always afraid of this because the moment I land in Bangalore, I mean, this is where I have done my master's in business law, that is from National Law School. So whenever I come to Bangalore, in Mumbai when I'm there, nobody talks about regulations. It's like very commercials. They are like, kitne mein dega, kitne mein lega, that's it, finish. I mean, how much the business going on, I mean, what is the fees out there, all those things. But Bangalore, I think a lot of technological discussion, a lot of regulatory discussions happen. So that's really there. Coming from a legal background, what I would say is that we are lacking on the regulatory part. I mean, that can be easily seen. Okay, and if you see other countries, I mean, there is nothing stopping us as a country like India. There is everything. There is talent. There is people. There are people who want to solve use cases. There are people struggling because these use cases are not there. All out of 5 things, there are 4 things out there, but one aspect, that is regulations, that is a support from, you can say, from the regulatory angle is not being there. Okay, now this is something which is missing across countries. Only if you see only one country which is currently giving more from a regulatory support is UAE. And it's just like a plant, you know, I mean, a plant will always change direction where there is more sunlight. So there are a lot of missed opportunities which you see, which is going on to countries like UAE or countries like Singapore, BBA and all those things. But what I do see is that from an optimistic angle, there were 2 angles to it. One is regarding defining a lot of rules for crypto and blockchains and all the other crypto assets. So we have done at least one aspect, that at least we have started taxing it. So taxing it means that it is legal. I mean, when it's taxed, it's legal. That's what the term goes. But yeah, there is no definite kind of a rule set. Like for example, for stocks there are SEBI Act, there is for insurance there is Insurance Act and IRDA Act and all. But for VDAs there is no specific act, but it is taxed. So that is a good thing out there. And it is a big challenge especially for a country like India, which has done so well in the Web2 world, which gives a lot of IT exports to a country like India and exports information technology to other countries. But Web3 we are not able to do here because of the regulatory framework. So that is a challenge, and countries like UAE is definitely doing well in terms of the regulatory.
Absolutely. A lot of gray areas in India for sure, even though we have acknowledged the presence of this massive force that is around. Aditi, I think my next question would be to you. You already run a super successful women-led community, and you also lead the community at CoinDCX. I think it's one of the oldest, biggest exchanges in India. How do you see CoinDCX sort of fostering inclusivity in the Web3 space now that a lot of DeFi projects have gone mainstream? Of course, globally, but in India as well. We see, look around, I mean, the conference itself is so bright. Wouldn't expect the same sort of a turnout in maybe 2020 or 2019. So, of course, there's inclusivity, but you are at the forefront of inclusivity still with your Superwoman DAO. How do you sort of try to do the same at CoinDCX?
So it's a balancing act, really, right? I mean, it's an organization's responsibility as much as it's the person's responsibility as well. And then all of this gets encompassed into how the social structure really is, right? Because as much as we can say about the Web3 space, but this goes a longer way and a larger way in terms of the entire tech space. You know, the entire educational, how many girls do we see in, like, all of us have known girls, most of us have known females to be topping in their schools and all. College, that number drops drastically, and then when it comes to the professional world, even larger drop. And then same has cascaded into Web3 as well. So I think both of the sides things has to be done, like make it a more conducive environment for women to be present, and then also from women's side, take those efforts, take those initiational efforts again to be present there. At CoinDCX, first of all, inclusion is more than just gender. So there are several initiatives across the whole DEI vertical. Talking about the gender inclusion, there's an internal steering committee and community called Crypto Nari. where we try to highlight every woman's effort in CoinDCX itself. Right? Like what is she doing? How is she doing? Am I able to really connect women working in CoinDCX and talk to other women working there? It's a team of 600 people. I mean, we started with small efforts so that women are connected. Like even for these events and all, a couple of women who just joined different teams. You know, I was connected with all of them. Tell them about the events, give them a brief on which events should they be attending. If this person's from an employer branding team, this person's from the social team, this person's from the risk research team. So just help them and all. So I think that like even for these events and all. The second thing is, of course, CoinDCX support and the media series. Give them a brief on which events should they campaigns that DCX and Octo take over. I remember one of the first projects that I ever worked with, which talked about this was CoinDCX. The reel stays on my Instagram to this date. So I think that is the area and direction DCX as a company is taking. But apart from that, we also want to be very merit focused. Never want to give out the message that, hey, if there's an opening out here, there's any preference going to be given at any gender. I mean, of course, diversity is there, consideration would want more women to apply, but beyond that, it's just merit-based. And that's the same ethos of women as well. Women focused, not women only. The idea is women are not going to grow alone and not in a silo. So yeah, that's what we do.
Great words. I think we addressed regulations and we spoke about inclusivity, and we do have to talk about the third pillar, which is technology, and that's why we have you here. One question that Web2 users often have is what will happen when Web3 technologies sort of start impacting traditional businesses or traditional enterprises? How do you see this integration happening? Would there be a revolution, or do you see this as more of a shift from one to another? How do you think exactly would traditional enterprises be affected by this technology? And in addition to that, what role does your firm play in sort of bringing Web3 technologies mainstream?
Sure. If you actually look at the classic world of Web2, the application set or the enterprise suite are pretty standard. It's been multiple SAP for supply chain, or let's talk financial. So there are a lot of systems which are already ingrained, and Web2 has really made a difference, right? But when Web3 is coming in, there's a lot of new business models that are coming in. So if you actually look at asset tokenization, is one of the biggest buzzwords. So real world assets. So that's a big buzzword. Inevitably, the Web2 based industries have to move or have to transition to Web3. But is the transition going to be so quick, just shutting down the Web2 and going to Web3? This is never going to happen. There will be a bridge. That means there will be a hybrid model in which both of these Web2 and Web3 will work together. But pure Web3 is again a question mark. Why? Because pure Web3 is also is not under the lens of regulatory in terms of adoption. So that becomes a challenge. So enterprises will definitely have to move, or else create the bridges between Web2 and Web3. Let me just give an example. We are working with one of the firms to make their real estate asset tokenization, and they are first launching their marketplace in India, and they're parallelly launching in UAE, they're parallelly launching in US, right? UAE and US, the crypto is quite allowed, right? So asset tokenization is quite possible. So here, we are running a separate book. We are actually running a permission network, which is on, Hyperledger, and then we are actually using Polygon for, the rest of the, geographies where crypto is actually allowed. So they have to run two books, there is no doubt. But yes, because of the regulatory, because of the way the business works is completely different from Web2 and a hybrid. And when they wanted to go with the tokenomics, where they wanted to have some of the tokens as an interplay, there is a bridge which we actually create between the permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain to actually integrate. So that's how one of the use cases which we are working with in making Web 2 and Web 3 speak.
Interesting. Now that we also have two people, representatives from two of the biggest exchanges, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of, security, privacy-related issues from your consumer base. How do you guys address it? And with, another year approaching, would there be more collaboration between different Web3 brands? How would, let's say, interoperability work in this space? Would more brands be at the center of, collaboration to sort of fight off issues around privacy, security that Web3 users might have? I think, Brian, we can start with you.
Yeah, definitely. We are looking for a lot of these security measures and privacy measures. In fact, the exchanges are also collaborating with this, with the government. Like I remember CoinDCX also, we from CoinBX and CoinDCX had met in Vigyan Bhavan, the Ministry of Consumer Affairs and all. So that, I had personally participated in that, wherein we thought of a lot of things which could be hindering with the security aspects, the privacy aspects. So all those things were discussed, and all the exchanges are, especially all the Indian exchanges, which is homegrown, like CoinBX, CoinDCX and all those exchanges, was ZepPay. So all these are proper Indian exchanges, and they have been collaborating, and we are trying our level best to have a better security, better data protection, better privacy to all our users. So that is in line, and we are working hand in hand with the government for this.
Aditi, anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of initiatives that have been happening. CoinDCX has been an active catalyst in sort of trying to start this conversation, whether it be regulation, compliance, or privacy and security, becoming the first Web3 company in India to get FIU India registration, also becoming the first Web3 company in India to get the ISO certification. So ISO certification is essentially a major mandate which sort of encompasses the idea that how is your data flow really happening, how is the information flow from one employee to another happening, when you're integrating with other companies, what is the kind of information that you're giving out, how are you receiving and all. So all of those edge cases are sort of evaluated, and basis that only that's given. So that's a major move. Also, when we talk of privacy and security, it's a lot to do with privacy and security of your own money. That's where the idea of Octo as a self-custody MPC wallet really comes in. That, hey, you have access to your money, and your seed phrase is actually distributed across 3 places: cloud, device, and yourself. So that entire vertical of building this wallet also sort of ensures that we're able to give the power back to the people, and then ensure that whatever new tokens we're listing on Octo, whatever dApps we are integrating with, we're actually doing multi-layer screening. So that even if the user is just taken into the hype and speculation of things, we do the work for them, when they're coming in and acting as investors and traders on the platform. So yeah, that's there.
I'm sure you have to measure your steps very carefully in this space, especially...
Like 7-layer screening methodologies and all, which of course the ops team hates, but it's there, it is what it is.
Yeah. But this is also because this tech is so new to the users itself. Sometimes I feel that the governments are in one way trying to protect the users, but in another way only delaying the process of getting to the results of whatever laws or regulations they have to make around it.
Absolutely. Just a quick story here. So like I said, right, Octo is a product that's coming out of the bigger blossom of CoinDCX only. But to ensure that we're able to protect users' money and then keep up with compliance and all, CoinDCX doesn't allow an internal, so which was an experiment which was launched, but the moment we realized compliance and regulatory issues were flagged, we realized that the internal bridge of a user who holds money on CoinDCX, they cannot bring it to Octo as well. So like I said, it's a lot of a balancing act where okay, I know this user, they are part of the same platform which the same team is building, but you cannot allow the flow of money there because you never know, CFI, DeFi, and then everywhere else.
Absolutely. One challenge that we as a sector face is interoperability. So how do you envision Web3 enterprises sort of collaborating, and what does your firm do to ensure that, there is a certain level of interoperability that is maintained between different Web3 enterprises? And this has acted as a sort of a roadblock between different blockchains and just in general as well. So how do you sort of plan to battle this issue? Are you already working towards it at your firm, or?
Yeah, interoperability is always spoken about quite a bit, right? Initially, when we actually looked at blockchain adoption itself was pretty less. Now, if you actually look at the blockchain adoption has started in a big way. So governments have started, banks have started, supply chain companies have started. So most of them know what blockchain as an architecture can actually give. That's from the enterprise world of it. But enterprise world is always wary about one thing: data. It cannot go beyond that surfaces, right? So, for example, if you take a typical supply chain company, there are quite a lot of vendors. How do you actually transact between your vendors, right? So then the consortiums comes into the play. So tokenomics will work, whether the exchange of tokens will actually work. It works well with loyalty, because loyalty is a designated, as a reward, and it's a small ticket size, so it doesn't really have huge one. There is one more very interesting case which we're working on, which is the asset tokenization for some of the banks. So there are real world assets, and there are also Bitcoin, ETFs, and so on and so forth. How do we actually interplay between both of these? Because anything which is with crypto would require wallets and Web3 access and so on and so forth. So the transition is always difficult. But at this moment, in the current world, the interoperability between the Web2 and Web3 is happening in a very, very, I say it's a differentiated way. We still have the long walls which divide the Web3 transactions to Web2 transactions. That's the reality. But when we talk about the interoperability, it is not so simple. But when we actually look at a permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain, then the interoperability can still happen, because the contracts can actually have that interoperability, and the tokens can be exchanged in lieu of some of the services that Web3 actually provides. But when we actually talk about traditional finance to the decentralized finance, still the walls are high. The interoperability is difficult. It is possible technologically, but regulatory-wise, it has to be still run. So though BlackRock, has biggest assets, also JP Morgan has a lot of assets in crypto. Still, there is a different book, which actually, it is not a common book. So there's still a long way to go. But interoperability, technologically, yes, it's quite possible.
I think NFTs were the buzzword sometime last year, but then as the sector sort of saw what it did, and we all know about it, let's not talk about the dark past, but still I think there was a massive drop in the sales of NFTs, the trading volumes. Quite a few top projects saw their floor price dropping to almost like 50-60% of their original prices, sometimes even more. But I think NFTs, or the trend around NFT, is sort of trying to seep back in. How do you perceive the Indian culture for NFTs from the lens of a centralized exchange? And are there any future plans of, let's say, dabbling into NFTs that CoinBX has at this point? If so, what are they? And do you see a real potential in NFTs, their use cases?
Yeah, definitely. Talking about NFTs, everybody at one point of time would have thought about buying an NFT. I mean, anybody who's sitting out here would have thought, okay, let's go and buy out this NFT. Probably we might make some money out of it. So that is a very common thing. Even I had that feeling that, okay, we can actually buy an NFT. This ape NFT would go high in prices. We'll make 200, 300x profit kind of thing. But what and post, when I was thinking about this, I thought, okay, will this actually work? Okay, I mean, it is very, very important that the NFT market should have something known as, in technology, in fact, when we say that there is something known as use cases. So you might have heard about, he had also mentioned in the start that there is something known as use case. So I was working in Paytm back then in 2017-18, and everything whichever we launched from as a Paytm as a product was something related to a use case. Okay. Now when NFTs came in 2020, it was booming like anything. 2019-20 was a booming year for NFT, and everybody was behind NFT. But it is very, very clear that NFTs cannot go beyond beyond a certain level. Okay. Why? Because there is no use case around it. Okay, now selling an NFT of, like for example, selling an NFT of a shoe. Okay, you can actually buy and sell an NFT of a shoe. But what will you do that? What will you do that with that shoe? Actually, you cannot do anything. Okay, apart from very minuscule use cases like a step-in and all those things. But there is no use case specifically for NFT. Now, when will NFT go up? Now, when you should be investing in NFT, that is very simple. You should be investing into the NFT when the metaverse world is ready. Okay, and that world is getting ready mostly because of the second round of evolution, or you can say second round of innovation running from Apple. So Apple bought this iPhones back in 2008, which currently everybody is using, like smartphones with a touch, with a bigger touch. Now, in the last WWDC event of Apple, they were about to launch the Apple VR glasses, the augmented reality. What we are calling it as metaverse, Apple calls it as augmented reality. They call it AR. Okay, I tried to find a differentiation between these. It's almost the same, 98 to 99%. Now, when Apple as a company, which is a giant tech company from the US with billions and billions of dollars in cash in hand, if they'd start deploying this AR world into the into a tech thing, that's the time when you will see metaverse world coming in. Okay, and when is this coming? This is coming right in this month. I was expecting this announcement in the last WWDC, that is somewhere around in September, but it did not happen. They gave just a one-liner kind of thing stating that this would be launched somewhere in, AR devices would be launched in December. Okay, so the moment you see this technology coming in, AR devices coming in, the metaverse world will start rising. And post that, somewhere in the next, you can say, couple of 3 or 4 quarters, you will see the NFT market coming in. That's when we start investing, plus we start getting ready for the NFT marketplace. As of now, we are preparing ourselves for the metaverse thing, and that's a step-by-step, metaverse and then NFTs.
Very well summed up, and we're almost at the end of our session, so I think we'll start with the closing remarks, but I'll not let you guys give random closing remarks because I do have a few questions in mind. What do you guys think would be the top trends that would be followed in the Web3 space in the next year? And how do you perceive the next year from an enterprise perspective? What sort of plans do you have? What are you sort of prepping for as the next year comes? And I think we can start with Vishwanath and then...
The next year is going to be very interesting. I think so. The probable bull run is also there. So, the biggest, revolution that we actually see is on the asset tokenization part of it, on the real world assets. So that's one of the big, factor that will actually trend to grow. As well, carbon markets are seemingly very interesting. So, usage of blockchain on carbon markets is also pretty prevalent. So, these are some of the major things because, the focus is also going to ESG, right? And there are also a couple of wars that are brewing. So, we would actually look at, the adoption of security to be much more heavier, be it the asset security, be it the token security, there are quite a lot of things that would actually come from the enterprise level. And also to embrace these new business models, enterprises will also tend to look at how can I actually have bridges between TradeFi and then DeFi networks. So these are some of the trends that we are actually seeing and then hoping to work on those new innovations.
The optimism sure is high. Aditi, what do you say?
Yeah, there are lots of spaces. I mean, I would like to talk about the ones that I've been interested about researching into and also sort of translating them into actual actionable programs and plans at Octo and DCX. One thing, of course, we are extending and hoping and manifesting for DeFi to really grow into a lot of things. I mean, with Arbitrum launching the STIP, like the short-term incentive program, a lot of more new DeFi protocols getting in that liquidity and that action coming in, because last bull run was the traders' bull run. This year, we're also looking at staking, earning, restaking, all of those opportunities being talked about. So I think DeFi as a whole sort of makes sense. Plus, what adds to that is everything recently that happened with, Binance, and then the walled issue, and then the walled withdrawal issue as well. One strong indication that this has to, and that there's going to be a strong industry push for this, is all of these bigger projects, whether it be Binance or OKX, all of them, like Binance launched its Web3 wallet as well. So that's one area that I'm personally very excited about. Second thing, community being the area. I personally feel that yes, a lot of braha has been made about community, that a community leads Web3 growth and this and that. But the measurement, the impact measurement, the smart contracts in that space, and calling it and taking it beyond the vibe or beyond the aspect of belongingness, that will start happening, right? I mean, until last year, a lot of events, so to say, were based on, hey, project's giving you money, you do an event for them. What after that? Was there any on-chain history that was created? Was there any measurable onboarding that happened? So I'm very excited to see that, Web3 marketing, GTM sort of area growing and becoming exciting. And then personally, I think digital identity is an area that I find very, very interesting and keep a watch on. So I think that could also really become big, because then there are massive use cases coming in from Web2 and enterprises and fortune companies like that. I mean, even if you look at Digi Yatra or the blood bank, India's central blood bank repo, that's run via blockchain. So yeah,
absolutely.
There.
Thank you so much for that. And really quickly, Brian, if you can just close today's discussion.
Yeah, sure. So I started with the aspect that it could be a bull run from the next year itself. Now I'll just give you 3 points that why I think so, and though most of the points I had discussed in the panel itself. First being the Apple VR launch, AR launch kind of thing, which is there, which will open up the whole kind of a bull run market. Second is the Fed rate cuts. Now, Fed rate cuts is a jargon which it's very simple. If Fed rate cut, if you do not understand, it's very simple. The home loan rates currently of yours is around 8% or 9%. This will come down to 6.5% to 7%. This is the whole way of setup of how US started boosting the economy in the 2008 crisis, and this is where the whole Bitcoin had taken birth. Okay, so this Fed rate cuts is the best time when the bull run starts. Third is definitely the Bitcoin halving event, wherein the processing amount would be much more lower for the miners. And this means that there is something known as operators also in the business. The operators wants the Bitcoin, the BTC rate to go up. So as these 3 points, the Fed rate cut, the Apple event, and the Bitcoin halving, these 3 things would pick up the markets up. And at the same time, regulatory wise, India, I believe in my country, and I'm sure that India at some point of time would be giving huge opportunities for the Web3 world, just like Web2. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much, all the guests. We're not taking questions right now. Really sorry for that. And hope we did not bore you guys. There were a lot of insightful takeaways from the discussion today. Thank you, everyone who listened closely. And that's it for the day. Thank you so much. I'm your host.
Happy to take questions outside. I know they're running out of time. So we can take the questions outside.
Just a quick shout out. I would love to meet all the girls. I mean, everybody here, but especially all the females, because we have something planned over the next week. So would love to tell you all about that whenever that's possible.
I think that was a fabulous panel. By the way, I think I think it was Anuradha earlier who was talking about NFTs being dissed on. I just want to tell you that today on Apple, especially not Apple, but Microsoft Xbox, they have been using NFTs to track licensing and transactions for years now. And in fact, it was the lead author, Will Entriken, who wrote the 721, ERC 721 white paper. The lead author of that was the person who also implemented the NFT infrastructure for Xbox for their licensing. The only difference is that it is permissioned and it is not tradable on OpenSea. That is why we do not hear a lot of news. Not that a lot of things from OpenSea make news these days, but not to underestimate the power of all the technology that is being built. With this, I want to quickly move on to our next partner. I would like to bring on stage Akansha from Blockopedia. Thank you. So Blockopedia is also hosting an event on 7th. You guys are more than welcome to check it out. I'm going to hand it over to Akansha.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Akansha. I'm representing Blockopedia. It's an online news Web3 publication. It's basically a place where you can get all the latest update on crypto, Web3, blockchain, NFT. So we started back in 2018. When the crypto scene was, buzzing with innovations. We started back in 2018. We wanted to create a platform that act as a reliable source for the real-time updates and moreover a platform that simplifies complex topic and for those who are looking for who are exploring the web industry. But that's not all. We are also working on our brand new venture, the Block Talks, which Sonia told you about. So Block Talk is basically a mode for Web3 folks. It's basically we are conducting AMAs and also organizing events, physical events. So we have done numerous podcast sessions with Web3 founders, as well as we are conducting events. The first one was in Gurgaon, and now we are hosting in Bangalore on 7th December. So if you guys are in Bangalore, please do join us at Block Talks. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up, can I please have Mads talk? Oh, sorry. Akash, do we have Akash in the room? Yeah.
Hi guys, this is Akash. I am from Bitmart. I work as a strategic business development manager at Bitmart. So Bitmart is a premier global digital asset trading platform. We have over more than 1 million users on our platform with 2 billion daily trading volumes. So we provide user-friendly interface for your smooth trading in our platform. So please guys do check it out, our platform. And if you guys want to connect with me, please, I will be here. You can connect with me and let's have a potential conversation. Thank you.
And finally, can I please have Mads come up? Okay. Mads is joining us all the way from United States, so appreciate him coming for the India Blockchain Week.
Hello everyone, I'm Mads from OP Crypto. We're a pre-seed seed stage VC in the space, based out of New York and China. To consumer-facing applications. Been around for 2 years now. Made around 35 investments in the space and actively deploying relatively aggressively at the moment. We're backed by big Web3 native institutions in the space like Bybit, Republic, Kraken, GSR, Galaxy, and founders of different ecosystems as well. So it's my first in India. We backed a couple teams out of India and looking to all the cool builders in this space. So thank you guys.
And so finally, folks, we are getting to our VC panel. And can I please have our guests join us up here on stage? Can I have Jeffrey come and join us here? Jeffrey, we have Anisha, Amog, and Praneeth. Could I please request you all to come and join us up here on stage? Also, people in the back, Akansha and Nitesh, if you all can just have a seat, I'll appreciate that. And Charlene, if you can also ask some folks to come and join us. At least tell them that, the people that we have on stage are actively deploying capital. That tends to get people's attention. So here you have two strong women guarding the three men on stage. All right, everyone. So without further ado, I know everyone's probably getting hungry now that the lunch break has elapsed. What we're going to do is quickly dive right into our panel discussion. And I'm just going to go from, start with the ladies first. We have spoken a lot about Orbis86, so we're going to jump right into the panel. And Anisha, and followed by all of our guests, I would request you to take 30 to 45 seconds to give a quick intro about yourself, and then we'll jump into the panel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anisha Patnaik. I'm a lawyer by profession. I run two law firms because one wasn't enough. So one is called LexStart, which focuses on the startup ecosystem, and the other is called the Chain Project, which focuses on Web3. I'm also an angel investor and LP to several VC funds based out of both India and the US.
Hey, my name is Amog. I work for the SWE Foundation. For those that don't know, SWE is a high throughput single state blockchain, and we have some native innovations that, in our opinion, really differentiates us from every other infrastructure layer in the space. At the SWE Foundation, I lead some strategic programs. So I lead the validator and delegation program, and I'm currently leading our efforts to grow in India. Before this, I used to work at Coinbase Cloud, which is Coinbase's infrastructure as a service arm. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Praneeth?
Hey, I'm one of the excuse me, one of the co-founders for Ethereal Ventures, which is a Web3 venture firm that we set up towards the end of 2020, start of 2021. And when I say we, just referring to my colleagues and I, who are basically leading investments and venture investments out of Consensus since 2017. And our idea has just been to kind of take a very similar philosophy of backing very strong technical teams and domain experts, and continuing to support them along whatever fronts they generally require, but more so on the technical side, and help them build sustainable companies and protocols and networks in this space. Glad to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thanks, Praneeth. Jeffrey?
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Breur. Originally from the Netherlands, but I've been living in Hong Kong now for the past 12 years. I'm an entrepreneur turned investor, and I advise a Web3 VC fund in Hong Kong called Mulana. And I also run the accelerator program for Graviton, which is a Bangalore-based Web3 accelerator program.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Quick question in the room, right? I mean, I know our founders, our investors, they did their intros. Let me ask something here. How many of you here are building? How many of you are builders in the room? We have a few. How many of you are fundraising or have fundraised? So these are the people to network with, right? They have the money. All right. Also, Praneeth, I'd request you to just speak a little closer to the mic, because I think a lot of people might have not realized. Anyone in the room knows a product of Consensus? All right, there's at least one. How many of you use MetaMask? How many of you know MetaMask? Consensus is the company that owns MetaMask. So it's one of the OG firms there, and Praneeth here used to lead investments for them, and now he has founded his own fund. So just wanted to quickly interject and mention all of these things, because the people that we have here are OG investors, as I would call them, and they understand the waves of Web3 and how it functions. So without further ado, let me jump right into the questions. Anish, I'm again going to start with you. Now, you are advising startups here in India, and I would say that the Indian crypto landscape is one of the most legally challenging landscapes that we have looked at. However, despite the challenges that we look at, I was genuinely surprised to learn that in a year spanning from June 22 to 23, India was actually second highest in terms of crypto adoption. So we had $270 billion in crypto volume in that span of 1 year, and we were behind United States. So I was pleasantly surprised. I said, okay, this is where, the number, 1.4 billion, it works somewhere. However, we cannot ignore the fact that, there are a lot of challenges. So my quick question to you is, what are the challenges that Web3 startups in India face, and how can they navigate these challenges? Can you give me the mic?
I think, and it's not just specific to India, right? Globally, the biggest challenge Web3 companies are facing is the regulatory concerns, right? The regulatory uncertainties. You can build for a use case, but you're not sure if you're within the realm of the law. So that has been the biggest challenge for Web3 companies in India, which is why also statistics show that almost more than 60% of Web3 companies, although operating in India, are set up outside India. Right?
That's right.
So that's the biggest challenge. Then comes challenges around IP protection. And the third, which is again significant because they are set up outside India, fundraising from India becomes a challenge. So then the minute they take the decision to set up outside India, they have somewhere restricted themselves from attracting investors from India.
Those are great points, and we will jump on to a follow-up question in just a short bit. From there, I'm going to jump to Jeffrey, especially since we're talking about investors and raising money. And Jeffrey, not all investors are alike, right? And especially in the face of investments going down globally across all sectors. In the first 3 quarters of last year, we had about $381 billion in venture capital deployed across the board. This year, that number was down by 42%. So if you think that Web3 investments is down, all investments across the board, despite the AI hype that you hear, it's globally down by 42%. And the first 3 quarters of 2023 just saw 221 billion compared to 381 billion being invested. So Jeffrey, my question to you is, especially in the world of Web3, right? What are the different flavors of VCs that we get to experience, and how do they differ from each other?
Good question. I would say you have certain type of capital, and you have smart capital and you have dumb capital. You want mostly a mix out of that, but you don't only want smart capital, you don't only want dumb capital. But especially when it comes to first-time founders, they start realizing in the Web3 space that especially when they were starting their project, say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that money was abundant, right? There was so much money, even if you just had a pitch deck, you could get, funded. Those times are over, and that has a few reasons. One, of course, is that the interest rate is going up, right? Money is not free anymore. The other one is that people start realizing that there are multiple types of VCs. And I always say there are 2 types of VCs. One is the traditional one with the fund and general managers and the general partners. And the other one are the degen VCs, the people who are made their money in the last bull run or the bull run before that. And the expectations that comes with those investments are 2 totally different expectations. And you have to be very careful as a founder, what type of money are you bringing on? Because they both call themselves VCs, but you really have to look at where does the original money come from. Just an example for us, we as Mulana, we are a VC fund that is traditional more in the sense of that we set up a fund and we went out raising capital for that, right? And that means that the GPs from that are depending on the return on investments on like their income. While if you have the degen VCs that made their money X amount of millions and are now deploying that, they don't have that, first of all, background of being a good investor, but also at that point, for them, they are just gambling, right? They're just putting money into like 100 projects and hope something comes out of that. While we are a more traditional and fundamental investor, and just to say, and I can still say this as of today, is that we are in business now for almost 2 years. We have 18 portfolio companies, and all 18 of them are still in business, right? And that's something in this industry.
We have seen big businesses crumble, even businesses that raise $30–40 million. So yes, I definitely appreciate you being proud of your portfolio companies for still being in business.
I don't know how long we can keep that up, but yes, I can still say it.
Yeah, we have a bull run coming, right? Well, we keep saying that, and probably we are bullish. Bitcoin hitting 40K, etc. Well, we are trending upwards. To that extent, Praneeth, I know we touched upon the global market being down, right? And you are a seasoned investor. So Praneeth, my question, before I ask the question, one thing that I wanted to point out just as a statistic, even though the global VC market was down 42%, and we know that VC investment, it follows a little bit of herd mentality for most VCs, right? They always are investing in the trends. The global crypto investment in the first half of the year was down by 78%. So it went down from 13 billion to 4 billion. Now, all of you here on stage are still actively investing. So Praneeth, my question to you really is, there is money in the market, right? And all of you here, you guys are either actively deploying or helping others deploy, giving out grants. So to that extent, looking towards 2024, right? What is the investment outlook going to be in the next couple of years? And what kind of investment vehicles do you think would be deployed in 2024? And what kind of founders would actually be funded?
I think there's a couple of questions in all of that. So I'll try and get at least some of these and see if we can address and present a broader picture of what's happening in the market. I mean, if you looked, and this is something that we look back at, and if you were investing in the likes of like the bear market that we'd seen back in the day in 16 or maybe in 2019, you could fundamentally just deploy like a spray and pray approach, and given the market beta, you would get a really good return. And due to like the point made earlier, there have been a lot of people who've managed to make seemingly smart investment decisions and have had a lot of returns kind of prop up in their respective portfolios. So, but when we kind of look at what's happening now, I think it's slightly unprecedented in the sense that we are now in an era where interest rates will continue to stay high, but we also are at a point where there's like enough, or at least that's some of our perception, that there's enough like primitives that have been built out on the dev tooling side, on the community side, that people can actually start pulling these primitives together and build meaningful applications. And combined with this, there is a reasonable amount of economic security that you see in many blockchain, L1 blockchains that are available today. And so the way we are thinking about this is that there's this time of the year and maybe for the cycle ahead is when we actually try and look and make very concentrated bets in specific categories and make sure that we are spending enough time with these founders, with these companies, and make sure that they outperform the market and the beta that we would see ensuing in the space. And we strongly believe that there are places that we can find that, and that's something that we will want to kind of spend more of a time on.
A quick 10-second follow-up question to that. What are those specific categories that you are actually looking to invest in the next 2 years?
I would say, I think that's, so if we look at our fund one, a predominant number of investments that we have made have been primarily in the infrastructure space. So we've made a lot of investments in the staking space and staking related protocols, in the MEV space, in the privacy space, and we feel like there's still maybe some areas that could require additional and research, but the way people have been thinking about underwriting these and the way founders actually have been thinking about valuing these are probably very, very different from maybe what we had seen back in the day in 2017 or 18. And so some of the categories that are of general interest to us is things that are more so on the social side, like the consumer social side, people who are
ZK login, which is one of the first protocol level logins where logging in with Google and social platforms is integrated directly at the protocol level itself. So kudos on that. And with that, shout out to Sui. How many of you here know Sui, first of all? A quick show of hands. All right, that's good, right? So Sui was launched this year, early this year. May 2023 was when Sui mainnet was launched. And since then, I believe Sui has processed close to 1 billion transaction blocks. We are yet to hit the billion mark, but that just goes to show that, Sui, we are far away from the old days of the chains where it would take years to hit billions. Sui has not even completed a whole year, and they are close to that billion transaction mark. Now, with that being said, I would say that Sui is purpose-built for games, right? However, the Sui Foundation provides grants across the ecosystem. So again, I'm going to combine a couple of questions just in interest of time. My first question to you is, how do you distinguish, because you also lead investment, so how do you differentiate between which products and which projects you want to invest in versus which projects are candidates for grants? And as a follow-up question, how do people, since you work for the foundation, the builders in the room who are looking to build on Sui, what would be the criteria that they should be aware of, and what is the process for applying for a grant with Sui? Over to you.
So a bit of a loaded question, but to answer the first part, which is how do you determine if it's a grant candidate or an investments candidate, I think the angle here is just the value add to the community. So typically open source projects that deal with like infrastructure will most likely fall within the grants category because as long as it helps other builders, as long as it's something that's aligned with the goals of the foundation, which is to make development on Sui easier, it can fall within the grants bucket. And for investments, I think it's typically like the motivation is always going to be profit. Teams that are building out novel applications that have found their product market fit, or at least we foresee them finding it sometime down the future, they fall within the investments bucket. And I think when talking about the criteria or like a typical application for grants, I think this is something that we've internally really worked very hard on as well. Once we rolled out the grants application process, we received tons of applications, and of course, we did disperse large pools of money in the form of grant funding. But one thing that we quickly realized is that typically these grants were attracting dev shops that will jump from one chain to another, hunting from, basically hunting grants. And even though they can write very efficient lines of codes and help you in the short term, in the long run, as the foundation, we require teams. We require these products to be built out by teams that are aligned with the goals of the ecosystem. So teams that will maintain these products, teams that will strive to improve these products and keep pace with what's happening within the ecosystem. So I think now we've really streamlined our grants process. We do a lot of due diligence on the team. We do a lot of, questioning back and forth, and even interviewing with the applicants, seeing where the motivation lies, what are the plans for maintaining it, and how they plan to really grow out whatever they're applying for into a product, or at least something of a larger public good endeavor. So with these bases, I think initially with this experience, we've learned it the hard way that we definitely need to streamline it more. We need to align with the teams and pick out the right people to build out the things that the ecosystem requires.
Thank you. Thanks, Amog. And I will have a couple of one follow-up question. Now, I'm going to jump into our second round of Q&A. And we will go through this a little quickly than the first one, because we have about 12 minutes of clock time remaining. So, Jeffrey, I'm going to come back to you. And my question to you is, you spoke about a different kind of VCs that are there. The more traditional VCs who are doing things the right way, and most likely, their businesses are the ones that are going to be building for sustainability. You spoke about the degen VCs, but also in Web3, there are different investment vehicles, right? We are talking about the traditional investment like convertible notes, safes, but then you also have SAFTs and liquidity pool investments, etc. So for the builders in the room, do you mind giving a quick overview on what are the different kind of investment vehicles available to Web3 companies? And maybe you can also sum it up by talking about which of those investment vehicles do you and your companies that you advise, they invest in?
Indeed, SAFE and SAFT, and that's also what we do.
How many of you know the difference between SAFE and SAFT, by the way? Oh, that's actually not bad, but maybe you want to just give a quick line.
Okay. In SAFE, the E stands for equity, and in SAFT, the T stands for token, and SAFT stands for Standard Agreement Future. So that means that it is technically an agreement that you sign as an investor and a founder that say like, hey, you're giving me money now, and in the future, I'm going to give you either equity or tokens. And quite often that comes with a valuation cap, which is not a valuation, by the way. Anyway, and with a discount, because you're, as an investor, you're early in, right? What you now more and more see is that, for instance, it is a SAFE with a token warrant. So later on, when the token will be launched, you all, as an investor, also get tokens. That's kind of like I wouldn't say standard, because there's no standard in investment, but that's a little bit what there is when it comes to agreements. Other ways to fund your project are grants, like grants for instance, in the TSUI or other layer 1 projects, or maybe at that point from an accelerator, where at that point you get a grant in return for advisory tokens. Anything else probably would be a hard thing to get a personal loan out for your startup. I would not suggest to do that. You might want to go to your friends and family.
And fools.
And fools, FFF face. I've been that fool many times with my angel investment in the past. But at that point, I always say, like, be careful, because the chance that something from that comes in return is very slim. So if you have an uncle that says, like, hey, here's $10,000 for your, like, first setup or something else like that, and you know that's, say, around 80% of his net worth, don't do it, because the chances that he ever sees us back are slim.
And
right?
that's why they're called angels. They don't expect anything in return.
Yes,
I'm kidding.
yes. But also, I used to say, when I did angel investors back in the day, like, it's money that I part with as soon as I say yes. I backtracked that a little bit, because now I am pushing those founders a little bit more to do things and to raise additional capital. So, but that's probably around, yeah, the ways that you could get capital for your Web3 startup.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And again, Jeffrey is also actively deploying, probably not that much as an angel investor as a VC. But coming to angel investors, I have a follow-up question for Anisha, because you did introduce yourself as an angel investor in this space, and especially in